Hello everyone! Welcome to another episode of Factional Fight Plays Wurm Online. My name's Brian. No Adam today, and if anybody saw yesterday's stream, I believe Adam was saying that he's busy going somewhere today, doing something. Although I think he's around somewhere. At least he was in the game earlier. So everyone, thank you for joining. In the chat, I see a whole bunch of names. Wow, there's a lot of people. Deathwind, Kool-Aid, Reganation, a whole lot of people. Thank you for joining. I think this is the first stream I've ever done by myself. So let's get to it. Adam, I know. Okay, so we came back to the Factional Fight Village recently from our Delhi trip. We went. Let me try to get this fixed here. Okay, that's better. So we went to Deliverance, and it was great. But I really liked learning or reliving everything that we did over there. And it was a nice break from the labyrinth. But what I think happened was, you know, when you go back to a place that you kind of grew up in, or you have fond memories of, let's say, and it's not quite the same when you return as your memories are. It's like it was a nice visit. Before I went, I was almost thinking maybe I could go back and kind of live there again. Rebuild, do something over there. But I think the trip really solidified the fact that it was a great place to live. And thank you very much, Stu Jensen, for that tier 1 sub. Yeah, it was a great place to live. I don't know, do you guys ever have these feelings, but you don't want to go back and live again? It's like that feeling. It's like it was good to come back, and it was like the feeling of coming back home to Xanadu, which I think it was the first time I felt that coming back to Xanadu was like home, which I think is a good feeling. So knowing that, and I can't remember how many years ago it's been since we've built the Factional Fight Village, but I've never really felt that the Factional Fight Village was my home yet. It was a place that I was building. It was great. Adam did a lot of work on the Factional Fight Village before I even arrived. He had at least finished a building or two. And he had plans for 4. Like, essentially, all these 4 buildings in front of us are Adam's. He gave me one, and it's hard to see that it's 4 buildings just because he built so many Frankensteinish bridges around. So we had the plan. We're going to come back here, and I didn't quite know what we were going to do. And he had built, or he had told me that he was trying to buy that deed that we came back to in the front. I can't even remember the name of it, to tell you the truth. And we didn't know what we were going to do with it. Just that it was going to be an extension of this deed. He gave me a plot of land a number of years ago, which I had turned into this area here. What did I even call it? Faeran's Mansion. I don't even know how many buildings it ended up being. 1. Oh, there it is. Faeran Shack. 1, 2. And I tried to turn it into a little village, but it was like a tiny village that was essentially just one building. And that most of the building would be underground. And it was kind of much larger than I thought it would be when I built it. You can see it kind of goes down for people that didn't watch those streams a long time ago, those videos. It goes down. It has 4 levels, I think 4 levels. Each level is about 2 stories high. And you have this middle area that is just there so that you can get all to the bottom with these bridges. And I really wanted it to be bridges just so that you could bring carts down. I think that's the only drawback to the stairs. I would much rather have stairs, I think, than to have to build bridges everywhere. There's got to be a better way to bring carts up and down. I would be okay with bridges, like indoor ramps. So, okay, so we've come back, and I still have this building here, and I haven't really touched it since we left. So it's been a long time. And Adam wants to build that other deed, and we don't quite know what we want to do with that deed. You know, another village next to our village. And Adam texted me a great idea, I think. And I'm not sure exactly if we're going to do that or not, but he said, why don't we make this building here our like main like operations, like everything that we have that we do we'll do in this building, and then the other deed, the front deed, will be the deed that we can play around with, and he can make specifically as a priest deed. And he's toyed around with the idea of having a priest deed in the past, and there was a reason to have a separate deed as just a priest for priests, and he mentioned why to me a few times, and maybe you guys have a better understanding, but the gist is something like the more people that you have in your deed, the harder it is to get all of the priest bonuses, all of the deed bonuses. So if you have just one person in your deed, it's so much easier to raise that bonus up to allow or to have the priest get their bonuses faster, or to keep it longer or something like that. So we did that in Autumn Twilight. So when we were back in Delhi, he had a deed next to Autumn Twilight where he created as the priest deed, and I think it worked out. He didn't really tell me. I don't know if you're listening, Adam, but I am assuming that it did because he wants to do it again. So, which means he must be really enjoying his priest again. And that would also allow me to see this building completed and allow us to explore the whole idea of completing to furnishing an entire house, which we're pretty bad at. We did it a few times. We did it at Autumn Twilight. I did get a bunch of friends to go out and we did get a bunch of friends to do Autumn Twilight buildings because there was just too many. We did a bit at the Puzzle Labyrinth, but I think Puzzle Labyrinth we wanted to put less stuff so that when you go through it, what you see becomes more relevant, if that makes sense. Like if it was too much stuff around, all of the clues would get buried in the features, and it would also lag the place out a bit more. So let's see what's going on. So yeah, Kool-Aid, we was hoping to see more of that building. So yeah, I guess if we continue down this road, then you will see more of that building. Sorbic, I feel like a lot of PvE mechanics encourage you to live alone. Yes, I would agree. And it's not that, okay, yeah, some of it does encourage you, but I think a lot of it doesn't give you any bonuses to live with people. There's no like reason to, other than that things would go a little faster with 2 people or 3 people if you're doing the same amount of work, which doesn't often happen. Everybody wants to do their own thing, especially at the beginning when you first start the game. Okay, so what's going to happen exactly here? So I want to restart, you know, collecting all of the wood that I would need to live and to have an actual workstation for carpentry. I mean, you guys see Adam. I don't know if he shows it a lot, but he always, the first thing he does is build this like massive smithing area, and he's got his forges, and he's got his bulk storage bins, and it's just like the first thing he thinks of. And now, okay, so when I was back here, you want to see what my carpentry area looked like? This was it. Behold my carpentry area. It was a few crates and a bulk storage bin. I don't even know why there's a bulk storage bin there. Let's find out. I put a whole bunch of wood scraps in it. It's my garbage bin, I guess. So yeah, it wasn't really the greatest place. And like the first thing I need is wood. So I probably have some logs. Here's like 28, 96 quality logs. Here's one's called 92, and it's got about 37, 92, 93-ish quality. What's this one? 50 quality. That's why my carpentry area always has a good view. Yeah, this is going to be strange, right? I'm going to be living within stone underground, and that will be my wonderful carpentry area. Now, I think when we first started this game, everything that we built was outdoors, because we loved the outdoors. We loved being out in nature, sort of thing, in Wurm. And I think it took about 3 times. Was it 2 or 3 times where we had stuff just stolen from us due to fence bugs and this or that? And the very last time, it was from what I remember, fairly devastating for Adam, because somebody stole, like, he put all of his rare items he was working on in his forge, and somebody just came and took it all. And then later we saw it being sold on the forums, and there was literally nothing that could be done. I think I remember trying to get some stuff done, trying to get... Oh, there's Adam. We could always change some of the walls. Yeah, I guess so. I guess we can make that level look a little more wood-like. Alright, so what do I need to do? I want to pad up these logs. That's what I'll do. Different kinds. Is it surprising when you hear about people stealing on PvE servers? Most of the people are nice, right? I mean, it really doesn't take that many people to cause havoc. And I can't remember all the details, but I kind of remember there was like one guy when we were living on Deliverance that would go around and just like was causing so many problems to everybody that I think he ended up being on the KOS list of most deeds. Is that even a thing anymore? You could put people on KOS, so then they come into your deed, you'll get attacked. But yeah, it just takes one. And that's why most of the mechanics are geared towards people not stealing your stuff, but at the same time, you know, people always try to find the loopholes. Alright, I didn't actually look in this cart. I should probably look. So I need some large crates. There's already one in here with some dirt. I'm assuming Adam was digging dirt recently. Yes, these days it is much less likely for people to steal. I mean, back then, the permission system was definitely lacking a lot, in the sense that there was nothing stopping people from unhitching your horse, even on deed. There's some weird things that you could do. You could kill animals. I mean, okay, granted, the deed that we lived on at the time was Puzzle Plaza, and we didn't have control over the permission system there, and the owner, I mean, for a plaza, you have to make it so anyone can pick up anything, and like the permissions were lax, and we just had a house on there, and we had it completely, you know, fenced off. But somehow at one point there was a bug and you can just like get through the fences, and we had no idea. Yeah, there were issues. Now a lot less, but you know, old habits. I'm going to put your dirt into one of these dirt crate racks here. Oh god. Okay. I see 30 crates and they're all full. What are we gonna do with this dirt? Alright, here we go. That is better. Okay, so let's take a whole bunch. I'll try to label them as we go. Now, I always forget which way. Oh man, this section looked horrible before. We had so many crates, and I was almost thinking, maybe we should just get rid of something. What are we gonna do with all these crates? And they're just causing lag. But for sure, like once they added the crate racks, it kind of solved that whole problem. And they added the BSB racks or shelf or whatever, and they should just keep going with that whole idea. Alright, let me think. I'm thinking that I'm gonna turn the wrong way here. I think it's this way. I think it's this way. I could be wrong. But seeing all that dirt there is probably proving that I'm not wrong. Okay, well, I'm guessing here that we can't use this area to get back to our deed anymore. I see you already cut some trees, Adam. Let's see what kind. 70 quality, not bad. I can use those. Okay, so how would I normally do this? I normally do this by picking up the logs in my inventory, or the trees, and of course, let's see, I usually can fit 2, but not anymore. I'm carrying too much stuff. One at a time. Yeah, I wish I could use this 70 slope road. I'm guessing that we haven't quite figured out what we're gonna do, and we're digging everything down to dirt so that we can surface mine it. I'm not sure. I mean, this pretty much goes straight down a huge slope. That means I don't think there's gonna be any choice but to use like different tiered levels going down. We're just gonna have to figure out how many that we're gonna want, where we're gonna want them. I don't know. There's always the cool idea of just building like one house on one level and then just having ramps down to other levels that just have itself one house. It's just like a whole bunch of houses on slightly different levels leading all the way down. But that would look better. That would look much nicer than it really is to live, I would say. Alright, so how do I do this exactly? So you'll see me pick up these felled trees, and I'll be chopping them up into logs in my inventory. And the real reason I do that is because back in the day, the logs or the felled trees had the same graphic as the tree when it was, you know, standing up. So you cut down like 5 trees and it would just basically, you couldn't see anything. So I would just be randomly going through them with my cart, hitting my hotkey for picking up as many as I could, and and chopping them up in my inventory. And the reason you didn't know you could do that, what, pick up the trees? Yeah, I would assume that the reason is because you can actually use them to build those fences, those log fences or whatever they're called, wooden palisades. And hello, DD Rosler. And yeah, form before function. I mean, that's what we struggle with. Can we get to the point where we where it looks very nice? Oh, you didn't know you could chop them in your inventory? Yeah. Yeah, I guess, you know, a woodcutter's thing. Alright, how am I gonna do this? I feel like anything below 80 should just go into one crate. And then I'll have an 80 quality one, and then I'll split a couple 90 qualities, which I used to do like every level, but I don't think I need that anymore. Maybe I'll do a 90 to 94, and then have a 95 to 97 or 99, and then maybe I'll just have like a 100 quality one. We'll see. So this will be 79 quality. 79 quality and below. Let's do that. And let's do like a 80 to 89 quality. And a 90 to 94 quality. 90, I'm gonna say 95 to 98 quality. And then maybe have a 99 quality. I feel like I'm doing too many. And a 100 quality. Something like that. Isn't there always like so much stuff to learn in this game? One thing that I've wanted to do, and I've been slacking. I mean, I was never a cook. I never liked cooking in this game, even before the old cooking system. And Adam was gladly able to help with that. So when the new cooking system came, and it seemed so cool. It seems so cool. Like the amount of thought put into this cooking system, the amount of variety and just detail. It's like everything that I would want in a profession. I still haven't learned the system at all. It's like I keep looking at it, and it just it mesmerizes me sometimes, and I still can't get myself to do it. And I thought, okay, maybe maybe we can do an episode on the show and Adam can teach me about the system. And then maybe I'll get into it a little bit and I'll be able to at least understand it. Now we did this, right? We did at least a year or two basically doing that, like back in the day. You know, we have a cooking show that we can go, now it's like completely outdated. So we'd be doing it again. Going through all the systems that maybe I don't understand, or going through the systems that I do understand. And we might still do that. So we talked about it, and I think that we both agreed that that would be good episodes that we could do. And like by doing that ourselves, I think one problem is, okay, we're not experts on everything. So how do we do a show where we're teaching each other about something that we don't fully understand? So, I mean, really the only thing that we could do is we would have to spend prep work learning everything we can about that profession before we do the show. And so when I told Adam about the cooking thing, like I would like to learn it. And I don't think he's comfortable with the cooking system enough for him to say, yeah, I can teach you all about it. So it's like he has to do so much prep work, because here I am, I'm like, yeah, you teach me. Like I just show up and he teaches me, and he's like, okay, that means I'm gonna have to do like weeks of prep work and learning all about everything to do with cooking. Get a cooking center like made, something that makes sense for this day and age, and then I show up and I just listen to him talk and ask questions that somebody that doesn't know what they're doing would ask, and then that's the show. And I'm like, yeah, great show. Like that was a good hour or 2 hours. And he's probably like, oh, I just like spent like a month learning this whole cooking system, and like I don't know. It's just like it's more daunting for him than it would be for me. For something like that. But yeah, I think he's willing. I think we just have to get to that point. Alright, so yeah, add another show for beverages perhaps. For sure. I feel like, did we ever do a show on beverages before? I feel like we meant to, and that we never did. And I mean, back in the day, there wasn't really that many beverages to do. You can only make so much lemonade and so much wine. How many trees did he cut here? Quite a few. Right? It's really the chopping up action that takes forever. So I know Adam wants all the trees here cut. So I think that's the goal today, is to cut all the trees and get them sorted out in my little area. Maybe I should build a couple things depending on how much time I have. Or that's the plan, is to make my carpentry area look nicer with the materials that I'll need to do that with. Where's it? Hey, here, Faye, chop these veggies, grind this flour. I mean, if that's what it is, yeah, that's what he would be doing to me. But, you know, in a nice way. He'll be, he's a teacher. He can teach me anything. That's just how I see things. That's another idea. Having people come on the show that are experts in their field, in their profession, and teach us about them. And we would love to do that. And we were actually going to do that a couple times in the past. We even wanted to have Emu on our show a couple times, and there were reasons why it just never worked out. And it's essentially because everybody that seems to play this game, or at least a lot of people, ooh, 60 damage already, they're just all in like crazy different time zones, like not even close to us. We're going to sleep, or we're streaming, and everyone's like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning for them, or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I mean that's just what we gotta work with. Everybody else that plays this game or that streams, even Retro, whenever we have him on the show, it's like he has to wake up super early for him to be on our stream when we're streaming at, you know, 8 o'clock, 7 or 8 o'clock at night our time. Which, I mean, is kind of a problem when you're trying to find a guest person to come on to a show about Wurm. I will definitely let you know about yo-yos. I wanted to do a show specifically about toy making, but we would talk a little bit about the state that toy making is right now in the game, and talk about all the things that you could do, and then we want to talk about where it could go. And I think if we were to do shows like cooking show, or just revisit all of the professions, all of the harvesting abilities, skills, and like everything about the game, I think that's sort of the formula that I'd want to go with, is about a show about the way that the skill was, the way that the skill is now, and the way that we want to see the skill go in the future, be developed. Because granted, there's a lot of skills out there that are just so underdeveloped, like toy making, like the yo-yo yo-yo experts. Here, there's a little example. So let's say we were going to talk about yo-yos. Yeah, like right now what you're saying, Rossler. Yo-yo is actually just right-clicking a yo-yo and spinning it over and over again. So why is it in the game? What made a developer come into the game and say, we need a yo-yo skill. Here's the yo-yo item. If you right-click it, you will begin to use the yo-yo. Okay, so how does it benefit us? I mean, it doesn't really benefit us. However, now that it's been in the game forever, yeah, there's zero benefit for yo-yos. But I feel like, so where could the yo-yo skill go? What could they do with it to make it better? And I think it's fairly obvious what they could do. I mean, it's less about the skill, but imagine if the yo-yo skill, so you get the yo-yo and you do the yo-yo at level 1 skill, and people look at you and you can see what the guy's doing with the yo-yo. So there's like some animation, and some new player, anybody really, would look at them and say, oh, that's pretty cool. It looks like you're throwing a yo-yo down. There's like a cool animation. And then as you level up, it could unlock different yo-yo skills, different animations of doing other cooler yo-yo tricks. And as you level up, you have this whole array of cool yo-yo. Maybe you could use 2 yo-yos at the same time. Maybe you could have a better looking yo-yo. Maybe we need different tiered yo-yos. And then maybe in the future you could have moves that you could only do with other yo-yo masters. And then all of a sudden you have this whole line of profession that, yeah, and maybe there's rare yo-yo skills that you could learn when you're really high up that take time to learn, or it takes like just more than just practice, but you need another master, or masters can learn upon other masters to uncover new skills, new yo-yo tricks. And then you have this whole skill that you can potentially hold yo-yo shows for. You can have this whole show that people could like I don't know, schedule, have an event. At Impalongs, you could have like the yo-yo master came all the way from Deliverance to come show us his skills, you know. Come here at 3 p.m. And then you would sit there and you would see these moves that you've never seen in Wurm before, even though you've played for like 10 years. Good evening, Catspur, and welcome to our yo-yo show. Apparently it's turned into that. But there. That's sort of like what we would be talking about if we were going to move forward for redoing all the professions. And I would like that. I would love that, by the way. Just to have this whole fleshed out yo-yo profession where you could learn so many cool different animations. Let me see if I can speed this up a bit. Alright, I think that's all of them. Yeah, and that's... I think that I think that when a developer is looking at a skill, I don't think that you can necessarily really be thinking about, well, how many people are going to use this? Should I really develop this? Because Wurm is not that kind of game, if you really get down to it. Wurm's all about the variety. Knowing that a lot of people won't be doing what you're developing. And when people talk about this game, it's more about you, like, let's say you're going to tell your friend about the game. You say, like, there's so many things to do. One person could be doing this and another person could be doing something completely different for years and never intersect in what they're doing. Like, I've never done blacksmithing, even though you would think, yeah, you would really need to do blacksmithing. But when you got somebody like Adam around, yeah, I never have to do blacksmithing. And necessarily, he never really has to do wood cutting, although he does. He would never really have to do fine carpentry. There it goes. Alright, I'm gonna chop down some trees. Might get a little noisy. And hey, Exin, I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, yo-yo PvP deathmatches. I would say yo-yo PvE tournaments. And, oh yeah, I completely missed that. Thanks, Catspur. Separate or together, you guys are always a delight. I don't think I've ever been called a delight, but thank you. I feel like I'm, I don't know, a little more British than before I read that. Mature. I guess Adam wants me to cut down everything, even though I look at mature and I think, if I just hold out a little bit longer, I can wait until that's at least old and then chop it down. Okay. And thanks, Kool-Aid. Wow, overaged. The best kind of tree to chop down. No matter what words you think of, I'll just I don't think anybody's called us any of that. Old. At least it's old. What kind of trees do I have here? I feel like it's all pine. Pine. More pine. And a birchwood. Oh, and then you see this young tree. I think with young, I think at least, you know, I'm killing it off before it's even had time to grow. It's practically a sprout at that point. Oh, and shriveled. Nothing we could do about that. What do you guys think of the way that they changed the woodcutting animation? And now that basically they made it so wood fell off, or the leaves fall off, and then the log, and then the tree gets a little smaller. And you can see a bit more. And I guess you'd have to go back to the way that it used to be, which was essentially you would chop the tree, there would be no sound, there'd be no animation, and then the log would just appear, the tree would disappear, and then the log would appear. And then they changed it so there is, again, like they introduced the animation. I think there was a small amount of time where they introduced the animation and the sound, and then all of a sudden it would be down, and then I can't remember if they made it so right away, but it essentially turned into it would drop down, and then it would just look exactly the same, like as if it was up. And I thought it was very cool, the fact that it did that. It did get really busy, though. It did get really busy on the ground, and that you couldn't see anything. Ah, mature. But it was more realistic. I think, okay, so for me, this is what happens. I see this tree, and it comes down. So here it comes. Perfect. I love the animation, and then it just pops out, and now it's here. It's like, what just happened? Did it just disappear? I think, okay, so I think they were trying to solve two things. So the first thing they were trying to solve was the whole thing about not being able to see. And then the second thing that they were trying to solve is when you chop the tree down, I think what happened was the center of the tree went somewhere way over there, and you wouldn't be able to chop up the tree from here, from where you chopped it down. And I think they wanted to solve those two things. So that's why I feel like you see the tree move closer to you. I think that they should have just made it so, I like the whole thing where the dust kind of crops up and you see like that fog, the mist of dust, and then you see kind of the leaves go off, and then it should just stay there. It shouldn't pop, I don't think. I think it should just stay where it was and allow us to take care of it there, because that would solve the bigger problem, which was not being able to see anything if it was just a log without leaves. But it wouldn't seem like the tree is disappearing and then reappearing closer to you. I don't know, what are people saying here? I was just watching Adam's stream on YouTube today, and he was mentioning how he liked that. But although the full tree was a pain in the butt before, it felt more realistic. Yeah, it was more realistic and immersive. And it almost felt like, and I'm pretty sure we've thought of this before, but that where you stand should affect which way, where you're chopping should affect which way the tree falls. So let's say you're always chopping from the right, or you're right-handed, and you're chopping this way, then the tree should eventually fall. I'm not a wood cutter in real life, but I would assume that it would fall to the left. I could be wrong. Maybe it snaps off the last piece and then falls down to the right or something. But they could figure out some formula where, easy to use, if you're standing here, it's going to fall some way, and then make it so the tree could damage. Oh, people are not going to like that. The tree damaging yeah, the tree having to damage part of your fencing or something if it lands, depending on which kind it falls on. Here we go. Getting rid of the felled tree with limbs was a great quality of life improvement. That is true. It was a great quality of life improvement that ruined some of the immersion, I feel. Damage equals griefing. That is true as well. Which is why I don't think they'll ever come into this game. Although it would be a great PvP mechanic. But imagine, like, the damage it did was so small. Like, we accept the fact that if a troll comes to your deed, it can damage your walls. It can. Like, we just accept that fact in PvE environment, even though it's like the game's griefing us. Does it always already fall towards the direction you are chopping? I don't know. I don't think it does. I'm right-handed in the game. Now it's coming and falling that way. Oh, in real life. Okay. It falls the direction you are chopping it on. Yeah. Okay, what else? Like so many things in Wurm, there are a lot of things that are a pain in the butt for us, but we still enjoy them because they're immersive. It is true. There has to be a balance. And that's something that the devs would always be struggling with, I would say. Yeah, and the way that the game is now, so let's say we accept the way that the game is now and we think of it as charming, which is a word we throw around a lot to make up for some of the polish that is not in this game. But a lot of it, like, it is charming. It is, it has that thing that keeps us all around. And it's hard to say because it's not quite realism. Can't quite say it's that. It is kind of charming, and I actually showed I showed one of the trailers that I made to someone at my work recently, let's say in the last month or so, and the feedback that I got was that the graphics were in a state that seemed like the way that the graphics are these days in modern games, it kind of dates them a bit, in the sense that you're like, okay, it doesn't seem as real. they're all trying to go for this artistic style, and what it kind of did was kind of dated all those games, saying, okay, this was this era of gaming when everyone was doing this or that. And Wurm doesn't quite have that. You can't quite place when the graphics or when the game was created. It's kind of like a mishmash of a whole bunch of things. And, a lot of people look at it and they go, oh wow, I mean, it looks like EverQuest, or it looks like, you know, the olden days. But I don't think those people have played EverQuest in a long time. Even last year I went back to EverQuest, and I mean, to me it feels like home, but the graphics are not even remotely similar to what it is here. There's a huge disparity between this game and any game from the 90s or even 2000s, early 2000s. I would say MMO games. Yeah, we are definitely robbed from feeling good about chopping down a giant felled tree. If it was up to me, I would make it so as you're chopping logs off, the tree is sort of getting smaller. I know that doesn't make any sense. Like, it wouldn't make any sense. How steep is this gonna get? So, what is everyone doing right now? Is everyone actually playing Wurm? Or people that are watching, are you just watching? Ah, that sounds good, Kool-Aid. Yeah, you chop a few times and then the limbs go away, and then you chop more, and it just gets shorter and shorter and shorter. Oh, Kool-Aid, you're mindlessly mining. I hear that does seem mindless, a mindless task that I gladly let Adam do. Parser, you're just watching. If you were playing Wurm, you'd only be listening, and I feel like our stream lends to that we really should be like a podcast almost. I feel like when we started, we were more about getting people into the game, and then as we, you know, been doing this for a number of years, we turned into basically a video podcast for people that play the game. What is that? A couple cave floors that I'm not sure if we're going to get rid of or not. Dude Jensen, you're making hull planks and grinding rope making with your priest. I think rope making is something I've always wanted to get into, and I got into it really early, and then I did a whole bunch and then stopped abruptly. Please never turn it into a podcast. Okay, Catsper. We'll never turn it into a podcast. It'll just be a video podcast. Riding the realm in search of more oleander bush. Oh, I've done that so many times. You always, when you're adventuring out, always keep in mind, oh, there's a big field here of lavender bushes, or a big field there of rose. When we were doing the labyrinth, so we made the decision early on that we were going to have that we were going to have just rose bushes, rose hedges. And we were going to put these rose hedges all the way around. But where do you ever see a lot of rose bushes? Like, we didn't know. So we went around, and I remember Adam remembered that there was this huge rose field, just rose, but I think it was natural, on the side next to like water, and he passed it a bunch of times on the way to a market somewhere, and he told me about it and sort of the rough direction, and we went over there a couple times, and it was just massive, so many rose bushes, but it was like a 20 to 30 minute ride from the labyrinth. So every time we went, we would try to get as many rose sprouts as possible. And I remember at the end of every single journey, we had so many rose hedges, like hundreds and hundreds, like thousands. And I thought, okay, this is enough. It only takes 5 to plant a hedge. You know, we're going to go around the deed with these things, and it should be good enough. And we always get back, we use them all, and we were like not even remotely close to how many that we needed. We're like, what just happened to all these thousands of rose sprouts? They're just gone. And we had to do that 3 or 4 times, something like that, before we actually had enough. And we got to the end. And then there was a whole bunch of fixing that we had to do at the end, where we needed a few more, but so yeah, this is basically my routine when I do wood cutting. I just sort of cut all the trees down that I'm going to do, and I'll do the log chopping later. And thanks everyone for saying all these things about our videos. I did not realize how much people liked watching us at the moment. Cutting down trees. But yeah, I'm sure it'll get good as this place gets developed, and as we go into one thing I had this idea, well, it's not really an idea, but I was just thinking about the way that taming works in this game. I've always been fascinated with the taming system, and it's something that I always bring up whenever I tell people about this game. Just about the fact that, yeah, every animal that you see is, you can make your pet. You can tame it, you can do things with it, you can ride a lot of them, and it sounds so much cooler than I think it really is. I really try to hype it up, knowing that the way that the system is right now is not ideal. You don't see people riding unicorns. You can ride alligators. Do you ever see anybody riding an alligator? Apparently, well, I mean, unicorns and I think alligators, you can have 2 people riding on at the same time. So, I mean, all of that sounds amazing. So why don't I ever see that happening? I see more people riding bears. Yeah, you can't really tame a bear and have it help you. You can ride a bear. I remember Wurm, I don't remember, 1.0? Wurm something 0.0 or 1.1, and they had the animation where you're sitting on the bear and you're like riding it, and I remember being so excited. And we filmed some intro where I was riding the bear. And I'm thinking, you know what, this is gonna be amazing. Everyone's gonna be riding these things. Nobody's riding these things, and I mean, there's got to be a reason why. You can ride crocodiles on water like a boat. Yeah, And you never see anybody doing that. So what is it about the taming system? I mean, there's got to be a whole lot of things about the taming system that people don't strive for. And I remember taming my first unicorn. I feel like my taming skill was lowered or something, or they raised what it takes to tame a unicorn. Because I remember taming unicorns specifically, and now I can't tame them for my life. And I look at my skill, and my skill's not close to the level that you would be right. Where is the skill? Nature? No. Where's all that husbandry stuff? I'm so bad at this. I'll just open everything up and then I'll be able to see. There it is. I was right. I don't know why I didn't see it. Animal taming. It's at 32.9. Now, is it that there's no benefits using it? That could be one of them. How about having different animals benefit you in different ways? Why does everyone use horses for carts? And why does everyone use horses to ride? Because it's easier. It's like so easy. So I've been thinking about the taming system in general and what could be done to make it more useful. And I'd almost call for an entire overhaul like they did with cooking. So there, it's about trouble versus gain. Yeah, it's so much more troublesome. And they do it quite a lot on PvP, but I think what they do is they do that taming of like the monsters. Like you bring a champion troll or something. I think it's less, they do it less these days, but I'm not quite sure. I'm not a PvPer. I think it should also be more fun to tame. Because, okay, when we first started, it was more about not being able to find any animals out in the wild. There was no, and like you couldn't literally find one horse out in the wild. And for a number of years, I believe that that's the way it was. If you wanted a horse, you would have to buy one from a person. And then they made it so you could just find them everywhere in the wild. They increased the numbers of animals in general and then kind of tweaked it to gear it more towards, you know, more horses would spawn or more friendly animals would spawn. And for some reason, like 1 million spiders spawn all the time now. Like everywhere. So what could they do? At that point, anyone could go out and just get a horse. They introduced bisons and they introduced a few other animals. Bisons was the main one that they came out and they're like, everyone could use bisons as the wagon. On the wagon, they had a nice bison hitched to wagons picture, and it was like really cool. And I thought, wow, everyone's going to use bisons now. Specifically for certain wagon purposes, and maybe you can breed bisons, and that will be a thing. That'll be like awesome to have them kind of compete with horses. And then that never happened. And I've talked to Adam a couple times about it, thinking like, why like what happened to bisons? They kind of made a big deal back in the day about all of these bisons. They had like that nice screenshot, and it's just, I don't know, like, yeah, the spawns, are they a little bit too crazy so that the horse business is gone, or is it that breeding horses don't give enough benefit that they should give more benefit, or it should take longer to get these like higher level, traded horses, or like they need to have a better kind of, I would say, taming and animal husbandry are kind of clumped. They're like the same kind of thing. They're the same profession, but two separate skills. So they tend to be hand in hand. And so I was playing other games that have a simplistic version of some kind of taming system, but they geared it a little bit more towards fun, which most games tend to do, but at the same time they had some traits that I feel Wurm could use. Like, why is it with horses you could go up to any horse and you can put a rope around it and bring it wherever you want? That's not the way that it really works in the wild. Wild horses don't just come and then you ride it, and then every horse pretty much acts the same way. And in this game you have horses that have bad traits, and we try to eliminate them, which is great. I like that whole idea of the bad traits. Wild horses should have traits that you can get rid of as it starts liking you more. There should be a gauge for every single horse that can determine how much that it not just likes you, but what's the word I'm looking for? It like, I don't know, it's like a Tamagotchi or something, but not really. It shouldn't take a long time, but it should take some time. Your horse, you should be able to remember its name. Like right now, I don't know which horse is mine. I have no idea. I could pick up any of these horses, and I can't remember which one Adam said, "This is your horse." And mostly because he's probably saying, "Don't take this horse. That's my horse. Take that horse. That's your horse." Like, but I don't have any bond towards these horses. I want to feel like that's my horse. I spent time with this horse to make it like me, to get it comfortable with me. Are we in a little bit of a lag spike here? We are. And I mean, there's ways to do that. Slowly over time, when you come online and you want to like brush it or whatever, and you want to feed it some food or take it out and pat it, something like that. Thank you for that 5-bit cheer there, or that 5-bit boop, if that's a thing. Like you want to bond with your horse there. In Ultima Online, you really bond emotionally to your tamed animals. So we need to get there with the taming system. And as much as I love to talk about it to people that don't play this game, because I think it's a really cool idea, it's just not implemented to a point that lends itself to a full-time Wurm player. Someone that goes, yeah, I'm a full-time animal tamer. I don't think anyone ever says that. But they could if they just did some work with it. I'd be okay if a wild animal, like deers, like horses, if they ran away from you if you get too close from the front. Because they'd get scared. They'd feel more real. And I'd be okay if there was some system, stealth mechanic, something that you had to do or keep in mind to kind of make that horse trust you enough to bring it back with you. And it shouldn't take very long. Like, even if it took you know, a minute or two more than it would normally. Like, that's not that long. Just enough to make that horse trust you to bring it home. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. The whole, you got 2 horses for riding, both several years old, which thanks to the care system, they'll never die. I don't know about, I don't know enough about what they did, but horses would always die. Like, that's just the way it worked. That's the way I remember it, and that's the way that I still view this game. I don't even view, but then I look and I'm like, wait, I had this horse for like forever, and it's been venerable forever. Like, what? I don't even remember when they changed it. I don't remember the dates or anything like that, and I kind of remember hearing that they changed it. I don't think... Oh, I never repair this thing. Alright. I think that that's like really shouldn't have been changed. Or if they really needed it to be changed, like, why was it changed so much? Yeah, Catspur, you should definitely stream the Ultima Online's taming process, or at least talk about it in a Wurm video, to a point where we could all understand, or maybe a developer could understand and try to implement some of that. So if someone was thinking about, you know, updating the taming process in Wurm, what would everybody want? Would you want it to change? Or would you want it to pretty much be the same? Taming and animal husbandry. And what are the reasons? I can also see people not wanting it to change. And because the way that it is easy, but at the same time, animal husbandry takes a little bit of time to get used to, and you know, you spend the time learning this system that's in the game. And then, you know, why would you want to have to relearn it all after years of doing it? There would have to be some really big benefits. And that's what I hope that they do. They give some, you know, big benefit. I want to be able to see people's choices to ride different animals than horses. And it lends itself to this game so well. Like, it makes sense. You shouldn't be able to put, you know, horseshoes on a unicorn. Because that wouldn't make sense. It's not unicorn shoes. So why can't they make it so there is unicorn shoes? Or whatever unicorns would need. Same with all the other animals. Why can't we make it so these animals like unicorns and, I don't know, even you know, gators and bears, why can't we tame them to a point, or use animal husbandry to a point where they trust us completely? We don't have to tame it to have it like every time we want to control it. Even hell horses, which I thought were a great idea, and make so much sense that they're like the horses that you would want. This is how I saw hell horses like this. They were the horses you'd want to use at higher levels. If you were like a veteran in this game and you spent all this time, you have the ability to go out and get these hell horses, and you would have the ability to do something with them, make them trust you more, do build protective armor for them so they don't burn you all the time. Like, do something that if you're skilled enough, you can replace your horses with these hell horses and get like 5 traded hell horses or whatever you'd want to do, and people would, you would be like, oh, that person must be a really skilled animal husbandry person with you know, high tailoring skill. Like, that person's a veteran of the game when you see them, you know, strolling down, you know, a town with these hell horses. And then that makes it so horses become what you learn off of. Horses become one of many options. Maybe the starting option, one of the starting options. And then as people get more skilled, more options become available. I thought hell horses were going to be like that, and then I guess it was a side effect, and they nerfed them after a while. They made it so only young or mature hell horses could be put on a cart, and they just keep burning you, and unless you're a priest, they'll just burn you forever. Like, there's nothing that you can do. Yeah, and that's essentially what I'm talking about there. I don't even know what to call you. NSA. I'm just going to call you NSA. Even though you're technically not NSA. Have it so all animals can get to a point where they trust you enough not to have to tame them anymore. I mean, that should be a benefit of the taming system or the animal husbandry system. Let's just say when I say taming system, I mean both. And I think it is one of the many professions that they need to look at. And I think that's one of, even though it doesn't seem like it is, I would argue that that's one of the main ones. So let's say if their goal is, we need to re-release this game again and fix all the problems that they found when they were testing it on Wurm Unlimited and getting all those reviews. To have people stay, I feel like the taming system would be one of the main systems in this game that can make or break people's liking of this game. Like, there's probably like a whole subset of people that will come into this game and just look at the way that the system is now, and it just is, I don't know, maybe it's just like another nail in the coffin sort of thing. And what I think is that, especially if they're going by the reviews that are on, if they're going by the reviews that are on like Wurm Unlimited Steam page or wherever else they're looking, most of the people can't even get to that point. They can't get to the point where they play and then see that the taming system needs work. They kind of leave before that. So solving their problems, which is like with the user interface and all that stuff, helps, but helps for a small amount of time, I guess. And I think I would argue that even though they do the, even though they would do the new user interface, and even if they do solve whatever the tutorial thing that they're planning on doing, it just prolongs those people from leaving, if that makes any sense. Hey, Bloody Drongo, look, I'm actually doing a stream in a different time. And hello everyone for joining all the people that were joining, that came from Bloody Drongo's stream, whoever they are, thank you for coming. Even though you might not have had a choice. Stay for a little bit of time as I chop down trees. No Adam today. And really the only reason I could stream right now is because there's no Adam today. He literally can't stream during the daytime. Our daytime. It's like 2 o'clock right now, PM. Chopping trees is the most exciting thing I can think of doing right now. And it's also one of those things that Adam told me had to be done. So here I am. I feel like there's water this way. What is that? Yep. Somebody's Corbita. And there's the factional fight village. Looks more open now, that's for sure. Alright, I gotta really... Oh god. It's a little steep here. Let's pick that up. Anyway, how would I end this whole animal taming thing? It's probably one of many things that they need to do. But if we were going to go with, let's say we were going to write out all the things that we wanted Wurm to turn into in the future, I would put that more on the higher part of the priority list than the bottom. And yeah, Bloody Drongo, we just moved back to our factional fight village. So right there you see Adam's apparently stables. I did not realize that that house was called stables. And that house. It must be the same house. Yeah, back to our factional fight village from the labyrinth. I've been meaning to go back to the labyrinth and just to see what it looks like now. I'm hoping there's not that many corpses. Maybe clean up a bit. Make sure that it doesn't run out of make sure that it doesn't run out of deed upkeep, because that would kind of suck. I remember Retro came specifically to us and said, and we asked them, how long like do you want to run this labyrinth event for? And I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was something along the lines of we can run for as long as you keep the upkeep. And we're like, I just turned to Adam and I said, great. He just basically passed the buck to us. It's our fault, basically, if the labyrinth is no more. Yeah, we can cross our fingers and hope for more skills, get a more in-depth overhaul similar to what cooking got. You know, I would love that. Every skill kind of needs that, and I think we're going to be doing streams in the future that will cover all those topics, all the professions, where we rate them in where it kind of needs to grow or not grow. Yeah, unfortunately it's hard. It's hard when you have a lot of deeds. It's very hard to remember to keep all of them going, and I think Adam found that out when he told me, don't worry, I'll keep Autumn Twilight going, even though that deed cost a lot of money every month. I think that deed was close to 10 silver a month or something. It was quite big, and it just fell. It's just That's why you don't have a deed, eh? You can't lose what you don't have. That is true. You also can't gain what you don't have either. I don't know what I mean about that. How much does the labyrinth cost a month? I don't think it's that much. Adam could tell me differently, but no, we kept expanding it. That's the problem. So we had it at a specific size, and it wasn't that much. Maybe it was like 2.5 or 3 silver. And then we realized, okay, we needed to make it a little larger in the back, and then we like pushed it a bit bigger to accommodate something or other. And then I remember closer to the end, we wanted to push it, you know, make it bigger to the front, because we were going to include, we didn't actually in our plans have so in our plans we did not have the house at the beginning or the house at the end. So that's not how it started. It was just going to be a labyrinth. The beginning would just be the entrance to the labyrinth, and we realized, okay, if we're going to do that, we needed to expand more, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I can't remember where it ended up being. But I'm sure it's not cheap. Oh wow, okay. This is going to be tough to keep up with all you guys. Adam saying it's only 2.5 silver a month. So I guess it couldn't have gotten that much bigger than what I remember. I think I'm almost done. Am I almost done here? Chopping down these trees. I haven't been paying attention to the quality. I'm hoping that I get some good quality out of this. But we'll see. Well, thanks for joining, Phoenix, and everybody else that joined. I'm glad, especially if it's really late. And if it's really late where you are, you might as well turn off the stream and go to sleep. I think this is the last one here, at least on this side. What's that? That's just, oh, that is a tree. Never mind, I lied. Ultimate Savior. Do you know who I am? I do. Your ultimate savior. It says that in your name. Alright, I need to... Alright, I forgot about this one. Wow, birchwood felled trees just looks like a slightly larger log. Doesn't even look like a tree at all. I completely thought it was a log. Alright, so I'm gonna chop down... Uh-oh. I guess I'm not the only one in the local, but whenever I hear a horse squeal like that, I'm like squinting. I'm wondering if I should run back to my horses, but I'm hoping that has nothing to do with me. I don't know if I've ever said this before. I've never really felt the need to, but oh shoot, I'm gonna be falling down here. But that horse sound. I feel like I need to check my phone. I don't have my phone here. I can't check it. Should I go and check my phone? I don't know. Is everybody like wondering? Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, that horse sound. And I can't remember when I did this, but there used to be a old horse sound. Oh god. Yeah, there used to be an old horse sound. And I actually added the new horse sound to the game at some point. Probably in 2013. Sometime. And I don't think anybody... I don't remember if anybody noticed that I actually changed it. It was like a very similar sound, the old one. It was just the one that I added was a little... it was definitely higher quality. And good night, Bloody Drongo, and holy Christ. Thank you for that cheer. Wow. I did not realize you could do 4 100 cheers. I don't know, does anybody remember what the old horse sound sounded like? And see you later, Ultimate Savior. Because I don't actually remember what the old horse sound sounded like. I feel like it was so similar to each other that I don't believe many people really realized that it was changed. Now the goblin sound, that was a different story. I had, and I might have mentioned it at some point on a stream or something, but I had, I was given a CD of sounds. There's not a new horse. There was, I changed the horse sound back in 2013, so I guess it's not that new. It's like 5 years old, but it's newer than before then, if that makes sense. So anyway, I was given a CD that Rolf bought. So he personally delivered the CD to my email, or I can't remember how he gave it to me. And virtually, it was like a virtual CD of sounds that I think he ripped, that they bought for the game. And they basically said, like, do something with this. Like how many of these sounds can be added to the game? So I was looking through the sounds, and there's like a goblin sound that sounded, you know, like I would think that the goblins in this game would sound like, because they're all like, they just changed the model of them, I think. So it was kind of like, I don't know, they kind of look mischievous, but at the same time, kind of, I don't know, evil, like an evil mischievous sort of look to them. Yeah, it was quite a while ago. Now I'm looking at this. This one's actually a log, even though it looks so much like the tree did. And so I started with it. I'm like, you know, this would bode well for the game. It was completely different than what it used to be, and I just started. You know, I hadn't put any sounds into the game at this point, so I didn't really know how. it wasn't that intuitive. It was like a bunch of XML files or something. You had to change like some text in a text editor, and then you had to put the file somewhere, and I don't know, you couldn't change any of the settings. There was no, like, the sound system was there, we couldn't touch it. If there was a problem, I don't know, I can't change the way that the sound distance acts. So I just took another sound and I just looked at how loud that sound was in decibels, and then I try to match that with the new goblin sound, and then I, you know, edited it down to what I thought that a goblin would sound like. And in this game, the way that it works is you could only have 2 different sounds. You have a sound that plays when you hit it, and then you have a sound that plays when it dies. All right, those are the 2 sounds. What I didn't realize was, for some reason, the sound that plays when you hit it plays at the same time when the goblin sounds when it dies, or like any animal sounds when it dies. So they play on top of each other. I did not realize that. I thought that when it dies, it just plays the dying sound, but it plays the hitting sound and the dying sound at the same time. There's no way to change that. Knowing that, I would have done things a little differently, but I didn't. That's in the past. So anyway, I didn't quite know how it works, and the way that the sounds come in, they come in stereo. So there's a left and a right channel. So I just kept the left and the right channel, and I just made a file of the goblin getting hit, and I put it onto the test server. And hello, Myth. Thanks for joining our live stream. So I put it on the test server, and, you know, even if you tell people to go to the test server, no one's going to the test server. And I tried it out a couple times. I didn't find any problems, because in order for me to hear the sound, I had to hit the goblin, which was right next to me, and it sounded fine. And then I kill the goblin, and, you know, it sounds fine again. And no one I could get to come onto the test server at all during this time to test it at all. But I'm like, well, every time I spawn one and I hit it, you know, it's playing correctly. So I don't have the option of when the sound makes it to the live game. They like compile it, and I try to give whoever it was at the time the notes of what I did, right? Because I'm literally sitting like where you see me sitting now, let's say, working on the game. There's nobody else here. They don't know what I'm doing. I could be doing anything. They see it in the log. So as I change things, they see that I changed something, and I can write a comment saying I did this or I did that, and then they can selectively choose which ones they want to put into the live game whenever the next update comes out. And so the next update comes out, I'm not aware of when. So it's like a surprise to me as it would be to you guys that it's in the game. You just wave to your horse and you got it. What achievement do you get for waving to your horse? That's now actually a usability issue, that you can't tell the felled tree from the log anymore. Puts her hands on her hips. I'm actually not happy about that change. Yeah, I'm not that happy about that either. Maybe there should have been some kind of, I don't know, limb sticking out of that log for the birch. Anyway, so it gets into the game, and I don't have time to play, like, when the update happens. Like, let's say I'm at work or whatever, and I'm reading the forums, and I'm just hearing people, like, complaining. Like, it's just like this big thread about how the goblin sounds so horrible. And I'm thinking, oh, great, okay. I'm guessing people don't like the sound. Like, I'm thinking about, you know, is it too drastic of a change? I'm not sure. Like, what am I going to do? It's my first sound that I ever changed. So I'm like reading through this thread, and then I get into the game finally, and I'm thinking, okay, it can't be that bad. Like I hit a goblin and it was fine. So I get into the game and I'm gonna go try to find, maybe there was something that screwed up. I'm thinking I'm gonna go try to find a goblin in the game and try to kill it. And yeah, like, they're not that common. So I'm running around. And I can't find a goblin anywhere. Like, I'm like spending like an hour trying to find a goblin. And all of a sudden, like, a goblin comes into like local, and I hear it. And I hear the sound of it getting attacked. And it sounds like it's right next to me. And I'm looking around and I can't hear, or I can't see it. And then I hear it getting attacked. I hear it, the sound of it getting hit again. And I'm looking around, and I like get off my horse and I look around, and there's nothing around me at all. It ends up that goblin is like 70 something tiles away from me, but it sounds like the goblin's right next to me. I'm like, oh crap. That's not good. Something I couldn't test because I couldn't kill a goblin 70 tiles away from me in the test server. So it turns out that the way that the system works, it cannot use stereo sound effects. The system can't do that. In order for it to be placed somewhere in the world so that you hear it from far away, it needs to be mono. Like, it needs to be one track. And because I made it stereo, the system had no idea what to do, and it just would play it like it's sitting next to you. And that's what everyone was complaining about. It was like, it seems like it's like really too loud and really like this and that. And I'm thinking, I don't remember it being too loud. And then once I realized what was happening, I like ran back into the program, turned it into mono, went on to the test server, tested it, and then waited until they did their next update, which I don't remember how long. But ever since they did that, there was like that window where everyone was complaining about it, and then no one was complaining about it. So it ends up that everyone, where I thought everyone was complaining about the actual sound of it, people were just basically complaining about the volume of it. And I would have complained too, like if I knew that was the case. So yeah, that's how my sound effects Wurm career started. And I don't feel like I did a lot of changes to the game. And even with the emotes, so like there was a whole thing where they wanted more emotes. That was going to be my thing. And to the point where I thought, if it was somebody's voice that I can control at the time, then if we ever needed more emotes, I could just create more. You know, they want the human male to say such and such for something or other, which actually happened. So during the bridge update, Titch asked me, I think it was Titch that asked me, that they wanted the person to say something like, Like, oh, over here. Hey, over here. And the sound, the person before, so like the way that the male voice said something else before. It was like, and I can't even remember what it was, but it was something that it was like very close to hey over here, but it was something else on top of that that made it so. Oh, you know what? Is the stream buffering on and off for anyone else? I do see that I'm getting a few dropped frame rates for some reason. So sorry about that. Anybody know how to stop dropped frame rates? I don't really see anything wrong, or why all of a sudden it would do that. It doesn't look like it's doing... Oh, it is still doing it very slowly. All right, let me just try a couple things here. Yeah, I'm seeing some dropped frame rates for some reason. Does anybody know if I have to stop the stream? I don't really want to do that. Alright. Try a couple things here. Is it still dropping? I mean, what could I close? Discord? I'm not really doing anything in there. Can't quite tell how my internet's doing. But I have had internet problems, so you never know. The internet could go cut out at any point, and I'm seeing that it's not. Well, let's just wait a bit and we'll see. As long as you guys can hear me still, I'm wondering how that will affect. I do see it actually still dropping a bit more. Open Labs or Streamlabs is saying it's due to a poor network connection. Yeah. I would not doubt that, first off. What do you guys think of me lowering the video bitrate? Oh, I can't really do that, can I? Not unless I stopped. Well, if you can still hear me, then I might have to just Alright, so this is what I'm going to do, because it looks like just something's wrong. I'm going to just quickly stop the stream and then start it, and then we're just gonna have to continue like that. So give me like a minute.